James Babb is director of We Won't Fly, an organization opposed to the intrusive, ineffective, health risk, and unconstitutional policies employed by the Transportation Security Administration. He is a small business entrepreneur, musician, and father of 2 girls. James believes that peaceful individuals have a right to be left alone. His campaign for traveler dignity began in 2010 when invasive nude body scanners started appearing at Philadelphia International Airport. James enjoys traveling with his family, but he will not put his loved ones at risk of assault by TSA employees. Since 2010, James has appeared on numerous national and international news programs. James Babb, welcome to the Global Freedom Report. How are you?
Great. It's good to be with you.
Thank you. You're a musician. What is your instrument or instruments?
I'm a percussionist.
Piano or electronic?
No, not a pianist, percussionist. Drums and bongos.
Yes. Okay. Got it. As I said it, I said, wait a minute, I forgot to mention drums as well. Yes. Oh, excellent. From one musician to another. Great job you're doing on the We Won't Fly stuff. Okay, let's talk about the organization. It's We Won't Fly. What exactly are the group's objectives? Are you trying to get people to stop flying altogether, or is there more to it?
Well, we want to restore dignified air travel. I mean, that's really what this is about. And, many other people feel that the way to do this is, you call your congressman and you complain and you write a letter to the president and you tell him you're upset and you hope some kind of change happens. But all you get is a form letter from these politicians, which they may even act like they're on your side, but when push comes to shove.
Thank you for your input. We really appreciate hearing from you, and we will look into the matter. Yes, we know.
Yeah, I mean, my name isn't Goldman or Sachs, so I don't expect them to actually care what my opinion is. So We Won't Fly takes a different strategy, and that strategy is, first of all, it's just safe. For safety reasons, don't fly. Don't go near the TSA, so you don't have to put yourself or your family at risk of these radiation, nude photography scans or the sexual assault. What we're hoping is that if with enough people that just refuse to participate, the travel industry has to get on our side. Already the TSA is costing hundreds of billions of dollars in lost revenue for the travel industry. So this pressure is having an effect, but we need more people to just refuse. I mean, they demand compliance, so I believe that the solution is non-compliance. They expect us to obey, so I say disobey. Refuse to participate in this phony security theater, and hopefully, eventually we'll have some kind of ability to travel by air again, whether the TSA actually, goes away, or maybe there'll be, more likely would be entrepreneurial workarounds, because when you've got hundreds of billions of dollars on the table being lost because of the TSA, that's an opportunity there for people to come up with TSA-free travel options. So, whether it's at small airports, private planes, people plane sharing, or just, telecommuting, or, doing things in online conferences instead of, traveling. These are the options that I see that are really going to.
Now, hang on, I want to address that. What is telecommuting?
Well, for instance, traditionally a lot of companies will have an annual convention. Maybe they fly out their managers and salespeople. Hundreds of people come in from around the country for a central meeting. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of plane flights for just one meeting. Now new technologies there where this meeting can be done electronically, where people can use off-the-shelf equipment and still get the benefit of a group meeting without setting foot in an airport. Does that make sense?
Yes, That's it. That does a lot of sense. You also mentioned the idea of small airports and such. The idea of what do you say, of either chartering or pooling your resources into smaller flights. Is there some threshold where the TSA doesn't have authority?
Well, they're going for more and more authority every day. So it's sort of a race, to see can we get some kind of service before they claim dominion over everything. They're claiming dominion over the roads, rails, and buses. So it's just a matter of time if they're left unchecked before they, that you just can't avoid them, from stepping out of your house. But right now, there's a lot of small airports are TSA free. And I've even seen some small airlines advertising a TSA-free experience where you drive up and you get on the plane within minutes, and can fly. There's one from New Jersey to Massachusetts. Where the idea is to make it convenient and pleasant to travel.
Wow! Oh, wow! What a concept!
There's another one I've seen.
What a concept!
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you.
Right. I mean, we're talking about.
Several years ago, I was standing in line at Oakland International Airport, and I saw on the monitors they had the image of the Department of Homeland Security symbol, and it said Transportation Security Administration, and then protecting our freedoms. And I was inspired, and I made a bumper sticker. This bumper sticker reads, and it's got Transportation Security Administration in the lower right corner, and it's got the image. Except it says Department of Homeland Tyranny instead of Homeland Security, but the same image. And it says, protecting our freedoms by restricting yours.
Exactly right. I mean, what a joke. What a hilarious, it's a sick joke on the traveling public. And I think it's something that, we really need to stay on, and we need to keep fighting, even to just hold our ground, because they've got thousands of more scanners on order ready to start filling in these remaining airports. They're not stopping. They're not slowing down. And despite the dismal security results, which is well known, there's been congressional reports where they just laugh. They laugh out loud at the ineptitude of the TSA.
Oh, well, this has nothing
but then they
to do
say,
with
well,
security. This has nothing to do with security.
Right.
Yeah.
They say, and then they even admit, they say, well, you know what, we realize you're terrible, but this is creating a lot of public sector jobs, so it will continue. Okay. It's really just besides there's two deadly components of this to me. One is the Make Work program. How many thousands and thousands of parasites can just be employed for Make Work programs? But the other is conditioning the public for reflexive obedience.
Yeah.
Get used to the checkpoint. Follow instructions. Stand over here. Take off your shoes. Show us your junk. Just get people used to that.
Yeah.
And to me, that's just disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting and must be defended against.
Let's talk a little bit about the full-body scanners. I know the focus of a lot of what you do. What's wrong with them? Well,
the first problem is, actually, we don't know if we don't know what the level of effectiveness they have. Many experts say, they're completely ineffective. For instance, there's a famous Israeli airport security expert, and he said, I don't know why these Americans are doing this. I could easily get past these scanners with enough explosives to bring down a 747. And they don't use these scanners in Israel. They don't use them in many other countries. So the effectiveness is definitely in question. They bring out examples like the shoe bomber and the underwear bomber. They go, see, you need it because of these. However, the manufacturers of these machines, both the X-ray and the millimeter wave scanners, say, actually, we don't really think our scanners would have caught those. So, it's just meaningless.
Isn't there also,
there's a health risk.
Yeah, isn't there evidence that there's health risks involved in these?
Yeah. Now, there's a question as to how much is the health risk. But we know radiation damage is cumulative, and medical experts say avoid all unnecessary radiation. Okay, don't get more X-rays than you need. The TSA has made it impossible for independent testing of the actual equipment that they're using. And they go to great lengths to prevent any kind of scrutiny from an outside source. And they might throw out stuff and say, well, it was approved by the Food and Drug Administration. And this is the extent of their lying. After they said that, the Food and Drug Administration comes back and says, whoa, it's not food or a drug. We don't even have the authority to tell you it's safe. Okay? So, they'll throw out these examples. Well, it was, these scientists over here said it was good. Then those scientists say, no, we didn't actually test anything. So they're so full of baloney when it comes to their own claims as to safety that we have to just question everything they say.
Well, there was a court case, I think it was out of New Jersey about a year and a half ago, where they were ordered to produce independent testing or something, and they never did it, and they still haven't done it, but the courts aren't forcing them to do it. What's that about?
That's a new one to me. I'm not familiar with that. But
oh, yes.
That is,
a year ago, a judge said that, okay, I'm going to give you a reasonable period of time to come out with, independent testing on, the health risks involved. And he didn't give a specific time. And so a year and a half later, one of the parties to the case filed a complaint on it, and apparently the judge is not going to do anything. All he's done is basically said, well, I'm telling you again, you got to get this stuff together. Nobody's being held to any standard, any time frame of doing anything. I mean, there's a lot of lip service being paid to it, but nobody's being held to any standard.
Absolutely. Well, the whole judicial system is a joke in this department. Which again is one of the reasons that the We Won't Fly strategy is basically a consumer boycott, because the courts have proven to be completely useless in this department, as useless as Congress in protecting us from this menace. So, other people have tried to sue. Jesse Ventura tried to sue them. They've got 100 different angles to just say, nope, actually, we're not even going to hear this case. Forget about it. It's like they utter the words national security, and the judicial system hides under a rock.
Exactly. Well, let me ask you. This is from the chat room. A couple of questions. First, there's a story recently that they're coming out with a scanner that exposes everything. It can basically identify anything and everything, and can be done without the individual even knowing it is being done. Do you know anything about these new scanners? And the second comment out of the chat room, I've heard that the scanners unzip DNA. Do you have any comments on either of those two?
Well, the first one, I've heard mention of some kind of molecular scanner,
Yeah.
I think they call it. Honestly, I do not understand the science behind it. I would be very skeptical, but the same principles are going to apply. Is it invasion of your privacy? Well, obviously it's going to be. Is it going to pose a health risk? I don't see how it couldn't. Whether it's a big risk or not, we'll probably never know. But the root of the matter is, as human beings, we have the right to be left alone. And supposedly the Constitution of the United States protects individuals from the federal government searching you without probable cause and a warrant.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. If you refuse the body scanners and you're subjected to a pat-down and general search, seems like that's a violation of the Fourth Amendment prohibition against unreasonable searches. Now, whenever I fly in America, they inevitably will steal something of mine, like a nail clipper or cuticle scissors. And the TSA actually has outlets where they sell these items to the general public. That seems like a seizure. Doesn't it make these activities unconstitutional and therefore unlawful?
Absolutely. And that's just, there's nothing lawful about what they're doing. If the Constitution was in effect, then we would not even be having this conversation. But the Constitution has ceased to be a relevant document long ago. The only real reason, that it's worth referencing is just so we can show how far beyond their stated authority they've actually gone as a reference point, so we can actually see how bad things have become over time. But they have no concern for the rule of law. It's just about power.
Well, now, have there been any, has it been tested in the judicial process? Have there been any court rulings on whether people waive their Fourth Amendment protections by entering an airport? Is it right that in order to fly I have to agree to submit myself, an innocent citizen, to unreasonable searches and seizures of my private property?
I don't think there's been any successful court challenges. I don't even think the courts have even agreed to hear these issues. They just basically refuse. Jesse Ventura went through this, and, he was like, oh, I'm going after him. He's got the prestige and the lawyers and the money. He's like, no, we're doing this. And he went at it, and eventually they said, no, you don't get to get this in front of a federal jury. You have to go straight to appeals, which is basically just a panel of judges will then decide. So as far as I know, there's no opportunity allowed for a federal jury to weigh in on any of these cases. So and it really just falls to these judges, and the judges are obviously part of the system, part of the apparatus.
Okay, let's look at the practicality of the movement that you're trying to promote. In today's world, people seek to get places quickly, and air travel is faster than other modes of transportation. Is it reasonable to expect people to give up air travel for what amounts to philosophical reasons?
Well, and that's a choice that each individual has to make for themselves. And I completely understand that, people need to travel. People travel for work. People travel for family emergencies. People travel for all sorts of reasons. But each of us, we need to make the choice when we decide we're going to fly in a plane or not. Is it something I have to do? And I think for many people, and the numbers are sort of reflecting this, is that, okay, do I want to fly my kids down to Disney World? Hell no. For many people are coming to that conclusion. It's option, so we'll pass. This year we'll drive somewhere. This year we'll take the train. We're not gonna subject our family to these kinds of risks if it's not absolutely necessary.
And let me say along those lines. Let me say along those lines. I used to do seminars all over the United States. I stopped flying to the seminars. I would rent a car. I would take 10 days off work so that I can drive to the location, do the seminar, drive back, and all that, rather than subject myself to essentially the indignities and the unlawfulness of going through these processes. Absolutely. Is We Won't Fly participating in any organized events or protests or any activities in support of its mission? And are there such events taking place? And if so, where and when?
Well, we've got a nationwide event coming up, which is the week before Thanksgiving, and it's National Opt-Out Week. This is one of the biggest travel weeks of the year, and we had a lot of luck with National Opt-Out Day in 2010.
Fantastic.
So
we're almost out of time. How do people find out about this?
Okay. We'll be having some blog posts on WeWon'tFly.com, but there's InfoWars is also behind it, and about 6 other organizations are all teaming together to make this event huge. So look for an event in your area near your own airport. Or think about starting one. We're going to do demonstrations that entire week.
And we'll set up a link to WeWon'tFly.com as well. James Babb, thanks.